ghostly mark. Cobwebs twine and shadows dance in this twilight somber trance. Candles flicker, weary wicks, ancient echoes, time's cruel tricks. Marble figures, frozen pose, amidst the silence sorrow grows. Whispering shadows, secrets keep in the depths where night meets sleep. Underneath the velvet gloom, guardians of the haunted room. Chandeliers and crystal tears reflect forgotten yesteryears, softly chanting distant cries. Through the arches sorrow sighs. Gargoyles watch with stony gaze, guardians of endless maze. Pipe organ's breath begins to rise, filling air with mournful ties. Whispering shadows, secrets keep in the depths where night meets sleep. Underneath the velvet gloom, guardians of the haunted room.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Lady Red of the Black Pants Legion, and apparently we are going to be doing more writing stuff today because nobody stopped me yet, and I'm still confused by this. Also, we have Lictor. Say hi, Lictor.
Hi, Lictor. Hello.
Good job.
I will never tire of this joke. I will never tire of the joke. Yes, tonight, introspective. Tonight, unlike any other night. Hello, Doctor Who. Tonight, unlike any other night, we be crabbing.
We will, in
Cough
fact,
drop.
be crabbing. You wouldn't stop me from doing anything because everything's your fault. I'm just surprised management hasn't stopped me.
Thank you, Cookie Mama.
Oh, also, the dogs say hi.
The dog does say
They say hi loudly and bigly because dogs. They've just got back from the park, so I will give
good.
pets once they
Pet.
come over. I will give you a pup date presently because we've had a time with the doggos, and Anka is a little monster, so we will chat about the doggos. Have you been sent anything cursed this week? I've not been sent any new books, though I did possibly commit a very specific crime in reminding Tex that the Battletech romance book exists. We had cause to talk about that, and if I get murdered at the meetup, you know why. The dogs may attempt to stop me. The dogs attempt to stop me from everything.
That's true.
Speaking of, Anka has just leapt up, and she is currently trying to nose the keyboard out of the way because she thinks there might be food.
Carcinization.
Carcinization? Yeah. Thank you, Anka. There we go.
I hear you.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Wonderful.
Can you
Yep,
hear
I
me?
can hear you. And there's Chatway again. So guess whose internet just decided that, oh, you just went live? Let me just have a brief blip for literally no good reason. It's just gonna be one of those days. It's gonna be one of those days.
No.
It's your
No,
fault,
no.
chat. You overloaded everything with the amount of pet redeems you put in. It's your fault,
Yes.
chat.
Redeem other stuff, please.
So I was about to go into a little diatribe about how the pups have been doing, because Ceres is under the weather. I don't think there's anything majorly wrong with her. It's season change, and I think she's just got a tummy full of mucus, and she's just feeling a bit sorry for herself. So she didn't get to go to the park to play today. She stayed home with me and cuddled. But it did mean this morning when we gave them breakfast, we let them get up, and instead of putting them back in their octagon to sleep, they could either sleep in the living room with Aiden, who decided to crash on the couch, and Anka decided she had to come and be in the bedroom with me and steal my brand new pillow I only just got, because hips are the devil, and as you age they just get worse. So I got myself a nice pillow to help with my joint pain, and Anka just decided it was hers. She hurled herself under the blankets to steal the pillow. She did not pee on it, no. She did not. But she did steal it and lay on it and decided that it was her pillow and that my shoulder was for her to rest her head on. So that happened, and
I mean, there's the problem of it not being entirely and completely, by definition, incorrect.
Oh, has she stolen
understa-
your spot, Sarah? Oh,
We understand your desire for personal space and owning your own limbs, but you can't be seriously thinking that it will hold in court all the time.
by puppy law belongs to Anka. Yes.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
We understand.
Yeah, so Pip and Anka have just been out to the park and had a big old play, and Sarah stayed home with me. And the reason I know that she's not too sick and I'm not worried about her, beagles are obsessed with bread products, and I made myself a little crispy roll to have for lunch before I did the whole streaming thing, and she immediately demanded to eat at least half of it, so she can't be too sick.
Yeah, also she had the kibble. So.
And she did then go on to have her kibble, yes. So she's doing okay, but she is a little bit under the weather, and that's where we're at with the pups. Yes, bread. Bread is one of their favourite things. I have administered many pets to Anka. She is currently laying on my hip and being a happy little beagle bagel. So that's where we're at with that. Lictor, you set some homework for chat last week.
Yes, I told them to invent heavy metal for elderly, showy citizens. So they'll have something to hug into when the youngsters are listening to melodious vibes of this newfangled human planned strings and stuff like that. The old people need their noise, they need their unga bunga. and I think Chet has been our studious Chet has been providing us with names of stuff.
I have just flicked over to the auxiliary, to the shoal chat over there, to have a look at all of the terrible things chat had to say.
That's true.
We can go through some of them, but
Yes.
oh my goodness. Right, where did you guys start? I know it's around here somewhere. So we started with Damaged Case just linking Mastodon with the Moby Dick album cover.
Yes.
We then had Leviathan Force, Gigafauna, Helm's Deep, and Warcrab, which I presume will all be metal bands. Instead of Blue Oyster Cult, we now have Deep Purple Coral, I think was what was eventually decided on.
I really liked Limpet Biscuit. That makes a lot of sense to me. Megalodon. Benny Metal.
Benny Metal would absolutely be. Benny Metal would basically be Weird Al.
Yes.
That's
Also
what
kelp.
that would be.
Also kelp with a C.
Yes.
Yes. Zork, you did good. Zork, you're allowed. You're allowed. You will tell. You will do things. Gigafauna helps Steve or crab. Good. Good. Or crab sounds like a real band. Astroborn, Serpents of Old, Divine Ascension, Memorage. Memorage is actually a very good song. It's very good. Ye oldie librarian songs.
I think you're going to have to take down all these notes and do a little write-up on the modern music scene on Shoal, Lichter.
I will.
The joke did appear over in the auxiliary of they have Finnish metal.
I will. Why do I have to put some people out to dry in the wreck now? Why do you have to say that?
Oh, would you like to know whose fault that was? That was Erica. That was Archon Erica. You can blame him.
Erica, I'm sorry. You're going to hang out to dry.
We also suggested Tidal Witch, Hawk Current. Instead of Anthrax, we should just have a band named after any of the Shirley war crimes.
Okay.
Of course, we're going to have Barracuda as a band.
Yes.
It's not a song, it's band this time round. We also were suggested Thousand Fin Conch, Marlin Manson, Limpet Biscuit, Man of War, because you just don't even need to change it, Aquasmith instead of Aerosmith, Megalodon instead of Mastodon, which I like that one, Lead Submarine, Five Fin Death Punch, Benny Metal instead of Baby Metal, but I just like the idea of Benny being involved in Weird Al antics. Sinking in Reverse,
Floating in the deep.
Coral Maiden instead of Iron Maiden, Kelp Storm. Yeah, you guys were busy. You guys took this homework very seriously.
Yes. Good.
Claws and Coral, Benny Idol instead of Billy Idol, Power Shark instead of Power Wolf, Voyage instead of Journey, Kelp Grave, Singing Sun, Seventh Twist in the Dark. So basically what we learned was Shoal has a really thriving metal community.
Of course, it's their native music. Look,
The puns must flow.
They didn't have Beethoven.
Instead of Anthrax, it should be Toy Box. Yes, that makes sense. Yes.
I like this. That is actually a good idea.
Are we on SpongeBob music at the moment? So what I have on in the background is a series of background music from Epidemic Sound, and it cycles through it on random, and I can't hear it. So I have no idea what you guys are listening to right now, but I hope you're having fun.
Yeah.
As that's the most I can do for you. Hello, Ramshackle. Welcome in. How are you doing? Combat crab instead of war pig. Oh my god.
Stop fighting crabs. It's not good for you. They tried it in the last war. No bueno.
It's vaguely Subnautica music. Good. Then it means that's still correct, because I did go looking on Epidemic Sound for things along that vein, considering what we do here. Ramshackle says he's at work high on autism and cuddles. That sounds wonderful. Clearly you took your Tylenol this morning. Alrighty, so that was where we got with all of that last week, and that was your homework. Lichter, you've also been busy this week. You've started a challenge and you've been doing things.
Yes, I have to agree. I did took okay. Chat, in case you didn't know, not only writers consider themselves creatives, some other people also have monthly challenges for no apparent reason
My God.
except masochism. Masochism and raw self hatred and desire to improve. One of these challenges is known as Inktober, as in go and draw something in ink every day for an entire month for no apparent reason based on a prompt list that someone puts out online. I have been involved in the September version of October, known as Swordtember, in which you draw a sword every week, every day, for a month, for the entirety of September. I have also been involved in other things in the last few years, and I have decided to take it upon myself to get back into drawing stuff that are not crustaceans in embarrassing positions. And so I have decided to take on Inktober, which I have dubbed Month of Eight because Latin month names are stupid.
Tell us how you really feel.
No, they're stupid. They're very stupid. And you need to understand that there are at least two emperors decided to jam their names in the middle of the calendar.
Yep.
For the reason of because.
Yep.
And ever since, the 10th month of the year is October, which is Ocho. So, yeah. Yes, Ramshackle. I will absolutely go about Nekame. If I'm not busy being out and about doing stuff that really shouldn't be discussed here, I would definitely take on Mecha.
Which, of course, is the origins of Shoal. Because 2 years ago, I was looking to do an art challenge, and I knew September would be a bad month for it because I also do writing stuff. So I was like, oh, well, there's Mermay, where you do a mermaid every day in May. And I wanted to do Mecha Mermaids. And of course, now we're here with Shoal because I never got to do that project. Once I started streaming, I kind of resurrected the idea, and then we vastly changed and expanded and improved it. And then that's why we're here. So our
You
challenge
spelled
is
made it awesome. You spelled that we made it awesome in
yes.
a very strange fashion. That was a very weird spell.
I think we should look at what some of Lictor's been doing because Shoal has stolen its way into his work. What's this, Lictor?
Which one of them?
It's the one you did on day 2.
The one on day 2, if anyone in chat remembers the coinage system we've decided on for Shoal, we had 3 levels of coin. We had the stuff everybody has, which is the metallic or crystal coins. We had obsidian coins, which are slips that are supposed to be attached as sort of an NFT to actual valuable stuff. That is the Temp Squirrel. As we remember on Shoal, Temp Squirrel is the valuable stuff. It's the equivalent of gold or uranium. It's the thing that makes society run because this is where you keep your memories, this is how you do banking, how you do religion, how you do important stuff that lasts after your current shell returns to the toy maker. So I decided my second day token, my second day was rusted coin. So I drew what I presume to be a reasonably depicted obsidian coin, shot with gold and with some rusted copper.
What I love most about this design you came up with is how utilitarian it is because any of our races can hold that comfortably. With the hole in the middle, it's really easy for even the cephalinids to hold it.
The cephalinids can hold it by hooking it. The crabs can pinch it.
Mm-hmm.
The Susella can gather it in mouth or in other
in their little
organs.
appendages. Yep.
And the podlans can just pick it up because
Yep.
Yes, I did know about the volcano snail.
Yes.
I do enjoy the idea of a naturally occurring iron-clad snail. That does bring joy. It sparks joy. Biology
Volcanoes
is
have fascinated me since I was relatively young, and they were what pushed me into writing my first fully fleshed setting, and the trilogy that I'm steadily working on is all volcano based. But when volcanoes and water get together, triple fascinating. The amount of stuff that lives in the hot water around the base of volcanoes underwater and how they adapt to cope with that. It's so cool.
You heard it first. Zork is a podlin.
Sorks a podlin.
Well, his words, not mine. I don't judge. Podlins are cool.
Yes. All of our races are cool. I really like what we've come up with. They're so unique and strange and wonderful.
Now here's the
I know
thing.
you were quoting a song, I am Iron Snail, instead of I am Iron Man.
No. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. If he's Iron Snail and Wayne Stahl in his movable, yes, you've got snailed. Uh, if we incorporate a Sholey power core into his shell, he becomes Iron Snail and he becomes Schnell.
Oh, message from
No,
Load. Hello, Red. Hello, Lictor. I found out my grandfather had a stroke this morning. He's doing good right now, and I hope he gets better. It's not like I can buy another grandfather at the store. Yeah, and I hope he gets better too. It's one of the hard facts of life. Dark humor is a wonderful way of coping with sad things. Please do, let your grandfather know that we're all also hoping he gets better, and I do hope you get nothing but good news.
I pray for you, buddy.
Yeah. Ramshackle. I've been writing a city for a fantasy adventure I call Devil's Spike. It's supposed to be a combo of Tortuga from Pirates of the Caribbean and Tombstone, Arizona. That is an interesting mix. That is a very interesting mix.
And also, Zork, yes, you are Iron Schnell, not Iron Snail. For speed.
Oh dear. Alright, so you made the very cool coin, but you also did another thing. Let's see if I can change this over to other thing that you made.
Yes, you can see at the top that they said that this obsidian chip is for his third time.
There we go. There is
There
other
you
thing.
go.
What's this, Lictor?
This is the feather circuit, which is a completely nonsense stuff that I get out of the machine to tell me what to do. That's an idea of what happens when Choli medicine integrates what would essentially be biopolymers derived from coral growth into a still living limbs. Cephalinids, in particular, have a problem when their limbs are damaged. They're not like crustaceans, they don't grow their limbs back. At least not quite the same. And I have it in my brain that the cephalids figured out how to reattach or actually use coral, the muscle type coral, bronze coral, and force it to grow in certain ways to become a physical biopolymer that they can graft and use as how do you call these things when you lop off your arm and you need a new one?
Yeah,
Prosthetic.
prosthetic limb, but not made of purely mechanics, but of coral and bioengineering and etc. I think it's really cool.
Thank you. And also they have circuitry in it. And the feather
Bionetic.
is
That's a good word for it. Yes.
bionetic is a wonderful
Bionetic. Yep.
that bionetic engineering, bionetic grafting. Bionetic grafting sounds like evocative enough. The thing is, I think that most Choli will not be able to integrate things that they do not consider to be the original parts of the body. And then you've got the weird guys that go, but what if I had more limbs?
Hey, Sarah.
Hello,
That's
Ceres.
okay.
You don't need more limbs.
Hey, baby, you want to lay down? I think she maybe wanted to go out so she could steal Anchor's spot on my hip. I think she just did a bamboozle on us, dear. Sarah's just asked to go out, did nothing, and has now stolen the spot on my hip. Which, considering you're ill, baby girl, we will let this pass. Lay down.
That is one way of parenting.
The flesh is
So
weak, but
yeah,
the
so
coral is strong. Yes.
the coral might not be strong, but the coral perseveres in a manner that the flesh does not always do.
Yes. I want
I want
another
to
set of
cross.
arms and a tail. Yeah, I could go for that too. Laticals are cheating. They've got too many limbs. Um,
Yep.
same for
And a
the
tail.
yeah, same for the ceratinoids, especially if you give them a little bit of a lobster tail on some of them.
Because
Cheating.
you know who's the real cheater in all this?
Who's that?
The Salacians.
Yes, because they can have many Susella.
They just have Susella. And then I'm like, I need a different kind of I want more Susella. I want 17 different types of Susella for breakfast. And then another 7 more for second breakfast. Why? Because I can. I'm a rich whale.
A very rich whale. This is Coral Punk, Cyberpunk Sholy Edition. Yes.
Sounds it looks like it. I'd go for it.
Congratulations, we have
project.
now opened the door to be able to write cyberpunk stories on Shola as well.
Yep. Too much coral. The song overwhelms your mind and you go coral crazy. Cyber frenzy.
Oh dear. What if we had more limbs? It's not just a Sholy thing. One of the human factions is all about transhumanism. Yeah, and I mean, considering, where humanity has come from in real life, that would be a very natural
I
thing.
am going to lay down the fact that I am very much for transhumanism as a concept, and I'm very much against transhumanism as being depicted as the bad guys. Transhumanism is an interesting concept.
So, Introspective has just said Cyberpunk might be against the vibe we were going for because we said we wanted to keep it relatively light-hearted. I think going down like the same route as true Cyberpunk, especially the Cyberpunk setting or Shadowrun, yeah, we'd probably be straying at that point. But Cyberpunk, in terms of certain, we'd take the punk part out. And I think there'd be some interesting stuff that we could investigate there with that kind of cyberization. In this case, it would be coralization. Yeah, it would be just sci-fi, not cyberpunk. You're right, but we're kind of talking about the themes of transhumanism, etc. here, which is why I use the word. It's people link it more, but you are right. It would technically just be a different, focus of sci-fi. Use correct organization. I refuse. I refuse. I got
I
a
am
sick
going.
puppy on my hip, and my other puppy stole my pillow last night, and I'm tired and I refuse.
Erica, I'm going to say that I think that plastic uh, bionetics is less of a ceratinoid thing because they have the mechanical part down,
Yeah, they
right? I
do
think that
prosthetics with mechanical stuff. Yeah.
they do mechanical bullshit. I think that if anyone is doing that to a high level, it's the cephalinids and the podlans with a lesser degree of everyone else. You have the salation due to tries to integrate it into the Sicella, but that's a side step. That's a side grade. I do think that the podlans and the cephalinids are the guys that had to develop it because otherwise you simply we've got a Corbin cited.
We do have a
Uh,
Corbin.
we cited Corbin. Yeah. I mean, you're correct. Laticals would do things with bone things and probably could have actual coral bone-like material, the actual coral stuff. it's the again cephalids and podlins that would develop the biopolymers that are needed for stuff that are truly flexible and possibly even grow with the body they're attached to. Again, medicals have something of a lizard-like regeneration that other people do not, because medicals again they're like lizards. They grow up to a human age, but they age out very quickly instead of falling off. Okay, look, I'm falling off to me being adjacent to too many very smart biologists. Let's create crab.
Yes, Lictor's going down
Return
the rabbit hole. Let's pull him back out before he gets too deep.
return to crab. Embrace simplicity.
None of the human factions are really villainous at this point. It's more about individuals and internal power struggles, which is always the better way to go, unless you're doing something very specific with the idea. I think that's a good plan, Ed, because it's usually individuals making poor decisions. Rather than it just being, yes, we've managed to form an entire faction of evil people who are somehow still, managing to work together, despite the fact that it would only make sense if all of them were trying to usurp each other, because we've made them that cartoonishly evil. So I like that. The crabbit hole.
Yes.
Out. Get out, Erica. Ceratinoid prosthetics look like someone slapped his entire line up into a vaguely limb shape. I mean, depending on the crabs and then the particular forge city that they may be at. All right, we do have crab making to do because it is past the hour. We've talked dogs, we've talked art, we've talked band names, and God knows what else. Let us move over to character creation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up our Latical we did last week, and then in the main window I'm going to bring up the list for our new Ceratinoid. We will need to think of a name at some point, but we know that their role in the story is hired mercenary to accompany expedition.
Foil.
Yep, foil. Yep, they are not an antagonist. They're sort of a protagonist adjacent. They are the foil to certain things that happens. We know that they have ties to the pirate fleets, former pirate. We know that their role in the story, pirate, nature versus demeanor, quite different. They come off as very cantankerous and standoffish, but make sacrifices in the story for the good of the group. That was what we were looking at when we initially devised our story. Let's start with a physical description for our character, and we can start with that, I think, with are they a shallow or a deep ceratinoid? Are they male or are they female? What do we want to go with?
Yeah.
Oh, Polychromatic Goth Drop has brought up something that I did mean to talk about before we started on this, so pause for just a moment and we'll come right back to it. So Goth Drop mentioned something over in the Orcs that was an interesting idea and is relevant to book building and the sort of stuff that we'll be moving on to next week. So when I'm planning a book and I'm getting ready for, this is my setting, these are my characters, this is what's going on, as you're building these things together, and the reason why I like to be a planner rather than a pantser is because as you plan all these different things out, little things can come to mind that will deepen the story if you add them in, especially as, you get deeper into the building. You're like, well, I know I've got this character and I've just devised this for this character. You do the thing. Yes, yes, you can. Thank you, OBS. Thank you for joining the rest of us in the current. I have no idea what's going on today, Load. I have had no problems all week. Absolutely nothing has happened connection-wise all week. My internet has been completely fine. We get to specifically my stream window on Friday, and the internet's like, aha! I'm gonna cause issues. Yes, we do in fact need an old priest and a young priest, preferably with telecoms qualifications as well. Anyway, as I was trying to say before the internet decided I'm not allowed to say anything intelligent today, Polychromatic mentioned something in the Orcs chat that could be interesting for the story. Something I always have in my book building folders is a little note section where I write down either lines I want to use or thoughts I want to use that pop into my head through the character creation process. Gothdrop had one of those for what we're up to. So I have made a little note in here, like I do for all of my stuff, thoughts to use page. And the thought that Polychromatic Gothdrop had was that the burn scars that Umi has from their neural burnout with their Titan, perhaps our human character thinks that they're part of Umi's patterning and comments on them, which of course is socially awkward because most Sholi would know that those patterns are the sign of somebody who's neural burnt, but it would allow us to discuss that facet of Umi's... Anka, no thank you. Your mother is sleeping there. You can't have it. That would allow us to discuss that element of Umi's past to the audience in a more natural way. So I've made a note of that because that might be something that we decide to come back to during the course of the story. Oh, it's Corbin's fault? Well, of course it's Corbin's fault. It's always Corbin's fault. Corbin, get out of the router. You do, in fact, have the baby. The baby is having, baby time with Dad. She is being babied. So yes, I did pay attention to that, Polychromatic Gothdrop, and I did write the note down, and we will continue adding those sorts of thoughts to this, or any lines that we think should turn up in the book. We might not eventually use all of them. Some of them might get changed or warped as we get to the point in the story where they should appear and they need tweaking a bit, but it's a very useful thing to have. It's just a little dump file for those kind of thoughts as you go along. Right, back to our Ceratinoid. Alright, we were going to start with their physical description, and we need to know shallows or deep, and gender.
Why did they join? Can't be just money. Or if it's money, it's because they owe it to someone and they need it for a reason.
Yep, and we can absolutely get to that as we move down to their motivations. Doctor Who is suggesting that we have a female Ceratinoid and that she is a deep Ceratinoid, so she will be a thick lady.
I will shoot people objecting that.
I mean, I'm down for that, and we haven't written ourselves yet a major female character, so I'm down for that.
Hell yeah.
Pirate Queen, maybe a former Pirate Queen who was maybe there was a mutiny or she was ousted, because that's going to be very common on pirate fleets, and maybe that's part of why she's become a mercenary and doing what she's doing. Maybe she's attempting to raise the funds to establish a fleet of her own, possibly looking for revenge. Anka. There's not enough space for oh my god. I have been beagled. I have too many beagles. And we want to give her a lobster tail? I'd be down with her having a lobster tail.
I'm okay with lobster tails.
If there was a mutiny and she's a female, was it her own brood ousting her? It could be.
Yes.
We could go with that. That sounds interesting.
She was ousted for being observed as old and crusty in her methods.
Yeah. Samurai, I am not dignifying that comment with a response. Okay, so she is a deep dweller ceratinoid with a thick carapace and large body. She has a lobster-like tail flange. Right, so let's move to just where I can put some notes in. I'll just put them here. Background. Anka, you are not making this easy. She is a former pirate fleet leader. We can decide on terminology we want to use when we get there. She's a former pirate fleet leader who was ousted during a mutiny. Brackets. Orchestrated by her own brood. She escaped with her life and most of her limbs, because I think we should give her some prosthetics so we can explore that to the audience. She escaped with her life and most of her limbs, and has since become a mercenary to raise the funds to form her own fleet to return to the crag-bound routes and seek revenge against her own kids. Okay. Deep dwell ceratinoid, thick carapace, large body. She has a top story. Okay, she is missing her upper left crab claw. This has been replaced with a complex, if bulky, prosthetic, as her limb is still regrowing. Okay, let's see what chat is saying, if I've missed anything. My drawing did not show the backside or side view of the ceratinoids. Yeah, I think we could just have different types. You know, maybe some have lobster tails, maybe some have no tail at all. Many options. Built like a brick shit house. Yeah, pretty much. Does she have a peg leg? We can give her a peg leg if you want. I would be for a peg leg and hook claw. Okay, so let me adjust this.
That hook claw would be just a regular claw for a ceratinoid.
The prosthetic is specifically a wickedly hooked affair rather than just emulating her original missing limb. She also has a peg leg as she lost her front, and it will be on the same side, I reckon, front left leg during the mutiny. While it is also regrowing, she has a simple but powerful prosthetic replacement. She can kick like a mantis shrimp. Because kicking like a mule doesn't mean anything on Shoal.
I will say that, at least in terms of styling, the reason she's using prosthetics and not using not just regenerating them, she's that old. She's expecting her next molt is in about 50 years.
Yeah, but the older that they get, the longer the molts, between molts, which, she was a pirate leader, so she's going to have, a bit of age on her. But I'm also down for it not being that long ago that the incident happened. It can be within, not too horrifically long ago, because that helps to go towards why she's just such a cantankerous bitch right now. Okay.
Yes. I mean, her own kids could have
character interaction idea. Because she's an older ceratinoid mother, perhaps she starts inadvertently protecting or adopting the human. What would be interesting there, because of what we've said about how ceratinoids are with their offspring, is until you have your first molt, babies are they're kind of mindless animals. You don't get your sapience until first molt. So maybe for the ceratinoid, she'll start out very dismissive of the human, because with them not having developed psionic ability, etc., and just not being as adapted to things, she thinks of them more like, you know, a pre-molt child. But once the human character proves himself somewhat, at that point she sort of starts seeing him as, okay, you've earned your place here, and then maybe she starts getting a bit protective.
Yeah, I mean, ceratinoids, you're not actually a living being until you've
Proved
started
yourself.
talking and doing calculus on your own.
Okay, let's put some of these notes in here. She starts out hostile. Well, I'm going to put hostile / ambivalent, because she's not actually going to, you know, go out against the dude, but she doesn't have any time for him. Ambivalent. Starts out hostile, ambivalent towards Jake, because he seems pre-molt to her, as he isn't psionically developed and hasn't earned his place. Once he does earn his keep and shows his own intellect, she slowly transfers some of her maternal instincts to him, finding a uniquely ceratinoid pride in his development anywhere she has influenced it. So it will still be a very ceratinoid attitude, but it will allow us to show that progression of ceratinoid culture and ethics. All right. What else have we got? I was thinking the deep ceratinoids would be crab-like compact and shallow Sarah's more lobster-like. Okay, so maybe that's what makes her unique, is she's got the deep ceratinoid body, but she's got just, you know, maybe a little bit of a tail flange. We don't have to make it as full as for the shallows, and that makes her stand out a bit. Maybe that's why she became a pirate in the first place. She didn't really fit in among the rest of ceratinoid society. Maybe she's a privateer. Perhaps the Great White Fleet gave her a letter of shark. Get out, samurai! Her love language would be combat training. Yes, keep hold of that thought when we get down to that. And I will stick that in. Ceratitude. Oh my god, I hate you, chat, in the best way. Given that humans are squishy, she could end up protective like how one would over a fresh molt that's yet to harden. That's an interesting thought, yes. Would be very ceratinoid. Let me put that in.
I can definitely see quotes of her just like, how do you even survive growing so old and so soft? Even podlans have a shell. You're like a cephalonid, but not enough limbs. What is wrong with you?
You're a cephalonid with crunchy bits on the inside. Weird. She had mixed parentage. Yeah, that could be a way of doing it. Okay.
Yeah.
She has a lobster-like tail flange, as she is actually of mixed parentage.
Have I shown you my crab paladin thing?
I believe you have, yes.
I think we're getting there with the stuff you're talking about right now. I think we're getting to that level of lobster-esque, not traditional crab, but more lobster feel. with that, which is interesting because that means, oh my god, that means she can curl around the Temps coral core of her Titan with her
Are we giving her a
lobster
Titan? Because
tail.
I didn't think we were.
Wasn't she a pilot?
She could be. She could be, but I just had it in my head that she was just going to be a hired-on mercenary. She doesn't necessarily have to have a Titan. I was thinking of one of just, sort of a mix of dudes whose job was to directly protect the expedition members. But we could make her the other Titan pilot because we've got. Let's think it through. We've got the Latical Mentor, who no longer has a Titan. We have
True.
the Temple Guardian Titan pilot that the Latical is mentor to, and I don't think that could be the Stratanoid because that doesn't make sense.
No.
But we
No,
did
no, no.
then have, we did say we were going to have another Titan as well, but it would be a Tide Warden, was what we'd originally been talking about.
No,
And that gave
she's
us the
not-
two.
She's not a Titan. So here's what. Yes, Zork has the idea, but he's thinking Ballantyne instead of Shield. I think that they hired her because she used to be a diver
Mhm,
before the dive pirates,
mhm.
and she has the capacity of getting between layers of depth and actually adjusting and working with it, which is a very prized ability for people who go into the unknown. She's what is known a diver. Because of her mixed parentage and her weird physiology, she can handle different benthic layers. Yes, Doctor Who has it. Multi-depth sinking. Yep, Doctor Who has it. That gives us a Ceratinoid who's very efficient and explains why. It explains the why of she's doing what she's doing.
Okay, so yeah, I think we need to keep her from being. We don't need her to be a Titan pilot. Not a pilot in and of herself, though. I'm sure she knows. She's familiar with Titans and has probably worked with Titan pilots before.
Mhm.
But
She
for our
she-
Tide
she
Warden, we'll make
definitely
them someone
cracked.
else.
I think she's somewhat dismissive of Titans.
Yeah, I think when her time during the pirate fleet, maybe they had, a Titan or two among the fleet. And while she could order them around, she's quite dismissive of them because, they're only useful in certain circumstances with what she's going on.
I mean, they're not more to her suppose. They're not moving fast enough. They're not adaptive enough.
Mhm.
Possibly because of the types of Titans and people, the Titan pilots that she met. She's thinking of Titans the same way an anti-tank person thinks about tanks. Tanks are not useful because I have solutions for them.
Yeah.
That's not true, but if all you have is a hammer, every problem.
And that's the kind of personality we want for her, is if every all you have is a hammer, every problem is a nail. Yeah.
Exactly.
Did you see the comment about the V-notch? I did not. Would you repost it for me, Doctor Who? And then I will see it, and we will discuss that.
Yes.
I do
V-notches.
apologise for the internet issues today. I genuinely have no idea what's going wrong. Nothing happened until stream time. Just... calling on real-life lobster fishing, she has an old V-notch in her tail flipper, denoting that she's an egger, as that one fisherman says. Okay, so she'd have the V-notch because... Okay, yeah, we can put that in there. She has a lobster-like tail flange with a V notch in it. Cool. All right. How old is she?
How brutal do we want her age to be a part of the story?
I feel like she should be I feel like she should be somewhere in her sort of 80s, which for a ceratinoid is not horrendously old. I don't want her to be very old, because if she was very old, I don't think she's going to have the drive to do the things we want her to do. If she's very old, like 400 or whatever, because ceratinoids are immortal until the point where they fail to shed. That's what kills them. They keep going until they just can't molt anymore, and that kills them. So they can get very, very old. But I feel like if she's too old, we're going to hit the problem of, well, why does she care? Why is she angry about this? Because by the time you get to a certain age, you've learned to handle certain things in certain ways. So I feel like if we have her in her 80s to the 100 range, she's had enough time to become an adult, realize she doesn't fit in and is never going to fit in wherever she grew up, gone off on her own, had some time to discover herself, become a pirate, worked her way up, become a pirate queen, effectively running her own fleet, plus then go on to have enough time to have kids of her own, and for them to have grown up enough to rob her of her position. So she's going to need to be at least 100.
Right. No, she doesn't.
No?
She's 1 year young. She's 1 year younger than the Laticle, and that annoys her.
Will that give her enough time to do all the things we want her to do? How old is he?
Yes, because he is 78.
He is 78, you're right.
She is 77.
Okay.
It annoys her that he is older than her.
Okay, so that does keep her basically young enough that this will be the first real major setback she's had in her life of something she built herself. She's like, yeah, I've overcome all these things of my, oh shit, it's been taken away from me. How do I cope with that?
She's now climbing out. This primes her to do the sort of turnabout that we want her to do.
Yeah. Okay. She is very annoyed. She is a year younger than Umi. Okay.
She's about 60. Okay. Here, who can I go on a tiny tirade about immortality and longevity?
By all means, go for it.
Okay. Doctor Who. Physically, she is into her breeding age, and nothing matters because they don't age the same way we do. She is into her action phase of her life, which means she's looking for a long term of growing and establishing herself and doing things and establishing experience. And she has, and up until this point, up until her 50s and 60s, she has been learning on a relatively linear curve of aging, gaining experience, and dealing with shit. And this is the first time that she has to cope with the fact that her point of view on time is different from everyone else, because now she has to think, okay, if I can go into Ennui and don't care about stuff for 100 years and come back and do other stuff in the meantime, she has that time, but she's not yet old enough and experienced enough to look at things that way. She still remembers in her mind, like those of us who are in the 40s and 50s, we remember being young and brash and wanting to achieve things, and we haven't yet been disillusioned by too many failures and setbacks. The problem with really old characters is when they don't mature, they just become very old and curmudgeon-y and become essentially very powerful teenagers, which is a trope in writing, especially in fantasy, where someone is 70,000 years old and yet somehow makes the same mistakes of a 7-year-old because they don't seem to grow up beyond that point. And that is, to me, a very bad way of writing very old characters. Very old characters should be very alien.
One of the things that sort of so you're right, and I entirely agree with you, and you've sort of sent me on my own train of thought with that. So I think the reason why that fails in fantasy so much is because you end up with these, they've got the maturity of a 14-year-old, but they're supposed to be 7,000 or whatever, and everyone treats them like they're venerable and should be respected and listened to, and that's where it falls apart. Because I watch quite a lot of police body cam on in the background while I'm doing things because it's excellent background noise, and people like that exist in the world. People who have made it all the way into their 60s, 70s, who are just acting like toddlers to the police and everyone around them, or whatever the problem is. They are acting like they're still teenagers, but they should be old enough to know better. And you get people who are like that, who just don't mature. But the difference is these are people who are just, normal people, and the people interacting around them don't treat them like they're venerable just because they're 70. I mean, when you watch the police with them, that they'll go, "You can't do this to me, I'm 73." And the cops will invariably go, "Then start acting like it." Whereas in fantasy, it would be, if somebody's throwing a tantrum and saying, "Go and nuke the next city over because they personally insulted me," people will go, "Yes, Emperor," or whatever, because he's 7,000 and that means we should listen to him. No! Like, no, you're 7,000, start acting like it. We're not nuking the next town over.
Exactly. And that's the thing about a Serenoid. First of all, load, great news. Hooray.
Good news, Grandpa's going to be all right. That's wonderful. Very pleased to hear it, Load.
Yes, absolutely, 275%. So for our Serenoid, the thing I'm peeved at, and why I hate certain ways of writing fantasy, I need the old crabs to be old. I don't want them to just be... I don't want time to go by and nothing happen. I hate it when someone write a fantasy world and you have 3,000 years where nothing happens.
Yeah.
Just
Something
we needed a time abyss for nothing. Society evolves. Just imagine how fast things became once we had the printing press. Okay. We need to avoid we don't need to. I need to avoid that. And if everybody else feels strongly, do not feel strongly about it, it's fine.
I mean, I spend a lot of time writing characters who have longevity as a thing, and I do kind of fall into the same bracket as you do. Night Owl's brought up one here. They might listen because he's Emperor Killimalius the 53rd, and he has a habit of killing his courtiers and officials when he gets upset, though. Yeah, okay, why hasn't he been assassinated then? Historically, when you've had leaders who act like children, eventually somebody has had enough, and typically it will be somebody from inside the court, and they will have them assassinated because it just doesn't work that way. Look at the Roman Empire and how some of those people were lost. Okay, you just want to be, okay, fine. Oh dear, an accident's going to happen to you.
Homework. To those of you who think otherwise, try and figure out how many emperors actually left their empire to their sons.
Why do you think there have been 53 of them so far? Quite, Night Owl. And at some point, I might, want to put my series in front of you, or at least a concept for it, and see what you want to feed back, because this is a big thing I play with in my Hevna series. So my trilogy is based around a seventh in line to the throne, where the throne doesn't have any real power anymore because everyone just kills each other off to become the next emperor. All the power is really held by the courtiers just below them, and when they end up with an emperor in power who doesn't want to push their agenda, they have them assassinated, and then they'll be succeeded by whichever heir they're currently sponsoring. And this has just become a thing, and it's part of what my character's trying to overcome and solve, and etc. Yes.
Yes, absolutely. If anybody needs inspiration, go look at the Sassanid and Achaemenid Empire.
It sounds like Great Britain. I mean, Great Britain when I grew up in it, and I'm not going to make any commentary on what the country's become since I left and how I feel about modern things, because we don't do that here. But that went from, okay, well, if we the benefit of a monarchy is if we don't like the monarch, we can just kill him and then put somebody else on the throne, to, well, what if the monarch was just a figurehead, and then we use, modern democracy, and put everything just below the throne, and yeah, you kind of ended up in that position. That's not what where I'm going with it in my trilogy, but yeah, these are things that turn up in real life often enough, and different countries have solved them in different ways. Sometimes permanently, sometimes just a change. So yeah, I think we want our Ceratinoid to be old enough to have done some stuff and be useful, but she needs to be young enough that the blow of losing her pirate fleet, the thing that she built for herself and managed to get herself to the top of, losing that is a stumbling block that she's currently trying to deal with, and that gives us some impetus and background for why she is the way she is.
I think we're there already.
Yeah.
I just went on a tirade because I'm an idiot.
Well, and you have strong feelings about some things you've seen in other literature that didn't use the same caution and depth.
Yes. Please, if you incorporate divine entities into your story, please, they have to be meaningful in some manner. You can't stop saying God to every dog, Dick, Tom, and Harry. Okay? if God is just I cast higher level spells, it's not a god. It's a big wizard. It's okay to have space.
It's the wizard with the biggest of hats.
Yes. Yes, scent. Yes, back to
Yes, we do need to move on to scent. So, for Doctor Who, who's asking why scent and what do we mean? One of the reasons why I always have scent profiles on my characters is it is good practice in writing to play with all of the senses. It allows suspension of disbelief, brings people into the world deeper, and if you happen to mention some scent or element that really resonates with a reader who's like, oh god, yeah, that scent, I remember that from when I was young. You can really sort of hit those emotional bonds with your reader and your audience. And by having the scent written down, it allows me to, remind myself that I should include this particular sense that we have as people. Scent is often overlooked in writing. It is still relevant on Shoal because for our Shoalie, they will pick up scents in the water in the same way that creatures do in our world, and of course if we're doing anything in the open air or in an area where air can carry scent, that will matter as well. Scent is also a really great shorthand. There is a book series out there where dragon and human pairs have a scent attached to them, and there's a wonderful moment in one of the books where a character is about to round a corner expecting to see one person, but she gets the scent of blood oranges and she's like, oh, it's them instead, and that allows her to be prepared for who she's about to run into before it happens. And of course, as the readers, because this scent is attached to this person, having that dropped in chat, it allows the readers to have that little bit of prior insight that perhaps the character doesn't have yet, but the reader might do, and that can sort of draw you in deeper as well. So that's why we have scent profiles. And we like to think about, when we're doing this, what the scents will be, as they are a narrative shorthand, or some of the scents might be linked to specific things. So for our scholar, our Latical, we said pine needles, lavender, and rainy days. They're kind of scholarly, warm scent. But he also has an undertone of medical scents from the ointments he applies to his scars to keep them supple, and his scales healthy after his wounds healed. So we've added in there narrative shorthand scents with, he smells cozy and friendly and nice, sort of things that are comforting. But we've then added in some lore and plot and character development scents where, because he has these long-standing wounds that have to be treated to keep them nice and healthy, he carries that scent with him as well. When we did our human character, we made sure to include that he always smells of deodorant and sweat because he spends most of his time in pressure suits to be able to do what he's doing on Shoal, and that's going to cause you to have a certain scent about you. So now we need to decide what we want for our Ceratinoid, what sort of things we think we should have. Scent memories are more vivid. Exactly. And I do like to just have this written down because it makes it very, very easy for me to then be reminded, oh hey, I should play with that sense as well. Night Owl says, a bit of the jelly baby and system of the monarch taking care of all those important ceremonies and hand waving and such, while the high priest manages the piddly stuff like tax collection and foreign policy. Yes. You've also got the Phoebean way of just electing a tyrant and then immediately throwing them in jail for the entirety of their term of office because it saves time. Zork says she probably smells like iron and old faded blood. I was thinking that she needed to have the smell of rust about her, which will evoke both.
Yes.
Does she drink a lot? I don't see why she shouldn't, if we're going to lean into that sort of piratical past. Rust.
Rust and verdigris.
Rust. Verdigris.
It's yes, blood, yes, sanguine, yes, verdigris. It's both the oxygenated blood and oxygenated copper.
Yeah.
Because, well, she's been breaking a lot of bones of a lot of people over a lot of time.
Let's see, what is chat saying? Shrubbery also has a vaguely medicinal scent due to any unguents she'd use on her prosthetics. I'd rather give her a sort of more oil scent for that. Not necessarily because, you know, she wouldn't use the medical stuff. You're right, she would. But we've already attached the medical smell to our laticle. And I don't want to cross-pollinate if we don't have to, because that allows us to use the scents as a shorthand. And oil and, mechanical prosthetics, etc. In a reader's mind, oil would be the scent that they would inherently link to that, I think. Admittedly, that's using, human shorthand, but our audience is human. So that might be a good way of doing that.
Yep. Agreed.
Rust, alcohol, driftwood, and blood. Okay, so let's add in some stuff. We've got rust, verdigris, salt. Let's add in I'm gonna add in clean alcohol because I don't want her to just stink of like booze breath, but when alcohol is fresh and clean, I think we'll give her that scent. And then mechanical oils with a slight herby fragrance. Rich, savoury herbs. We can bring those in. The mechanical oil smell comes from her prosthetics and their upkeep. The faint herb scent is from the medicinal elements to keep her flesh and prosthetics working well together. There we go. Okay, let's see if chat's got anything else before we move on to the next thing. Imagine one of the ceratinoids smelling like Old Bay. Hello, Sykes. Good to see you. Are ceratinoids vulnerable to infection? If they're not, then medical or antiseptic stuff would not be required. If I remember correctly, earth crustaceans are pretty proof against anything but mold. The thing that I think we're going to have here is we've got some unique elements going on Shoal, and I think it would be possible for just about anybody to get sick with some of the stuff going on, especially with, the radiation that we know we have on the planet that could cause for, when you've lost a limb or something, weaknesses that you've already got becoming even weaker and being susceptible to some of the unique problems that Shoal has. So I do think ceratinoids can catch infections. They might be less sickness prone than some of the other sapient species, but I don't want to take that element away completely, especially as, of course, we want to use our species to be able to commentate and deliver messages and themes and ideas in a way that the audience can understand. And, you know, the ability to get sick is a very normal part of human life. And we can explore it in a somewhat alien fashion. But I don't want to take that away completely, I don't think.
Yep.
Surely germs come equipped with power drills.
Have you seen the clouds of doldrums? These things can drill into titans.
Yeah, and that is the whole thing, is if we've got illnesses and infections and problems that can afflict coral reefs, afflict titans, then they should be able to afflict ceratinoids as well. But I do think that they will have a stronger immune system than some of the other species, for sure. Absolutely, for sure.
Yep.
Alright, that leads us on to resonance. So resonance is something that is a unique addition to my character sheets for Shoal. I don't do this for human characters because it's not necessary, but Shoal is its own unique environment where we have psionics, we have the ability for people to perceive each other with that sixth sense. So resonance is going to be like somebody's body language and posture that is just something that you can feel around them. It's their psionic resonance. And we tend to talk in musical terms here with like major chords, minor chords, things either being static, staccato, allegro, you know, all these sorts of things. But what we're really talking about is somebody's body language and, to a degree, their posture, though we will come back to posture further down. So for our scholarly laticle, we said that he had a strong major chord of warm hunger with a soft second tone of quiet and intimacy. He's hungry for knowledge, but he is a mentor character. His entire resonance is muted out with a persistent, discordant, static buzz of silence because he's burnt out. Yeah, his psionics have gone deaf. So it's that sort of thing that we're looking for here, is what their sort of the ceratinoid's major chord will be and what their undertones will be. And I think their major chord is going to be something quite clashy and loud and sharp with the kind of character that they are.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's something wide-spaced but powerful notes.
Okay, so a sharp. Let's unbold this. Anka is making this very difficult today. A sharp, bold, loud note of confidence and presence, spaced out with an undertone of... What do we think her undertones will be? I think she's going to have a little bit of insecurity. For all that she's gotten over certain things and is the kind of person who's like, well, fuck it, I'll just make my own way in the world. I still think that the displacement and the things people said to her growing up sit in the back of her mind. Kind of like a basket she's carrying that she's put on a shelf. The basket isn't causing any problems. It's not something she has to look at every day. It's not something that even needs rectifying. It's nicely, neatly stored there. But it's there. And sometimes, you know, she peeks in the basket because that's necessary. And that basket is where all her insecurities are. A loud brassy front with a delicate piccolo in the background. Okay, with an undertone of tremulous piccolo that speaks to insecurity. Not insecurity, that speaks to self-conscious reflection. Because for all she's got this little bit of insecurity, her way of dealing with it is to rally against it, not to wallow in it. Anka! You're lucky I have a Control Z button. Anka is trying to currently write the story for us. Okay, sharp, bold, loud note of confidence and presence, spaced out with an undertone of tremulous piccolo that speaks to self-conscious reflection. Could fall somewhat on the Fairbairn method when unsure. A bright, sharp blade in the hand aids in decisiveness of action. Yes, I think she's going to have that sort of personality to fit what we need her to do for the story. All right, we did a load of work on her background. We know where she came from and why she's doing the things that she's doing. Before we do her Maya Briggs, let's talk about her posture, seeing as we're in that sort of thought space at the moment. I feel like she has a very sort of wide face-on posture. She's quite in-your-face, present, and not necessarily aggressive, but she certainly isn't a shrinking violet. What do you guys think? Yes, I did get anchored.
I think that she has two very important postures.
Okay.
When she's on the ground, like on a surface, she's low and wide. She shows she's not looking like your normal ceratinoid, and she gives off the same physical presence of a very large thing. As in, when you're imagine the ceratinoid legs, those multi-jointed long things, spread wide, claws wide, shell curved a bit. Again, like a lobster moving towards you in a menacing fashion.
Okay.
When she is swimming, it is a clipped and much more
Streamlined?
No, it's not streamlined.
Okay.
It's clipped. It's not a squid streaming through the air. She has a very powerful tail and a manner with which to change her course that other people outside of Salacians do not have. And clipped and methodical. Yes, Doctor. Thank you for getting that word. Clipped, methodical, efficient, mechanical. Here's the thing. She gives you the impression she's a titan built into a weird ceratinoid body, with all the awe and impetus a titan would present without being so big. Why does it work? You know what I mean?
Yes. I've only gone quiet because I'm typing it out.
Okay, no, but the thought is there. You're looking at it and like, oh shit, that's not exactly a personality. That's freaking. Yeah, no, that's a problem. How am I supposed to be handling a titan that happens to be a person?
Okay, so I've written down, when on the ground, she stands low and wide. She likes to emulate large creatures and embrace her deep dweller ancestry to look imposing, immovable, and powerful. In water, she prefers to adopt a sturdy, clipped, methodical stance to let her tail do its work and come across as very efficient. She is all about the awe and impetus of a titan, just in a ceratinoid body. She allows none of her inner doubts to show on her exterior and prefers to be a presence in the world. So when we're writing her, we're going to have her, standing very solid. She's going to present in a very front-on manner because she's not a shy character. No matter what she's thinking inside, she presents as powerful.
If this was a Avatar: The Last Airbender archetyping, people think she's supposed to be a fire character, but she's actually an earth character.
I like that. That's a good way of putting it. I like that. Titanesque presence is just her raw charisma, not just her physical size. Yes, yes, she is certainly a force to be reckoned with, and we see that in the resonance that she carries and in the scent that she carries. She's going to be one of those characters who's just like, no, I'm here, and now you will deal with me.
Yes.
All right.
Or not. And it'll be to your detriment.
Yes, yes. Ignore me at your peril. Right. I want to move over into her Myers-Briggs, which will take us a while. So before we do that, I'm going to hop up briefly and use the restroom, if you don't mind taking over for just a minute, Lictor. And maybe decanting some of these dogs off of my lap, because, good lord, I will be right back.
Thank you. Hey there, Corbin. How do? I love this character as well, Doctor. I love a wrecking ball in the shape of a human being with more than just problem with these characters. People just they can't have smart and wrecking the ball the same character for some reason. Don't necessarily understand why. But we're not going to have that problem. It's very cool. We can do whatever we want. Another sweet from Atlantis. I haven't watched Atlantis, but that does sound correct to me, so yes. Any more suggestions? What's your favorite weapon? What's your weapon of choice? Come on, chat. Give me a weapon of choice. No. Though she looks like a linebacker, she is a linebacker, and she will cannon. Okay. You know, Doctor Who? When you have sex limbs to anchor yourself and enough metal to spear gun,
I have returned.
are we thinking that she has one of those harpoon cannons from Fallout?
Oh boy. What have you been doing whilst I stepped away, chat?
I asked them what is her favorite weapon. What's her weapon of choice? How does she disembowels the universe?
Okay, do not sit on the keyboard. Cannon, doom disc, spear gun, claws. She gets up close and personal.
I think claws are definitely an option, but I do believe that she's old and wise enough to understand that claws are not enough. They're not flexible enough for all situations.
I like the idea of her having a spear gun, because if she's spending a lot of time underwater, I think she'd be the kind of person who would perhaps have a spear gun that she uses just as its own standalone weapon, and she's not against using, venom tipped.
And explosives.
Yeah, maybe some are harpoons instead when she has people she wants to bring closer so she can hit them with her claws. And Polychromatic Goth Droppers just mentioned something I was working towards. I reckon on her hooked prosthetic hand, she has a little pile bunker built into the side of it. So when she punches you with that thing, you know about it. I think she'd have fun with weaponry like that. I don't think she's going to be the kind of person who's afraid of, melee combat. But like you said, she's old enough to know that, sometimes dispatching people at range is much to the benefit.
You don't do the last thing, you do the next thing. You punch someone once, they'll be wary of it. Now, if she had, she has a spear gun. She has a pile bunker in her...
yeah, I think the pile bunker as part of her prosthetic makes more sense than the spear gun.
Yes.
Swim me closer, I want to hit them with my claws. Precisely.
But if I had to guess, her favorite method is the spear gun for long distance. Short range, she would do a double tap. She will slap on a slab of explosives and punch you with the claws. She has many limbs. She can do more than one thing.
Yep.
And attaching a sticky grenade to your back while maneuvering around you is a terrifying concept. Blunderbuss, maybe. I mean, why not? Having more than one gun is possible. I'm starting to get the idea that she may have a harness of solutions. How do you solve things? Well, there's many problems, and you need to solve everything from a dragon to everything else that happens in the Red Sea. So, yeah.
But does she also have shark repellent? She has a weapon for every problem. I'm very happy for this character to be overarmed, as it might be. Right, we need to do her Myers-Briggs, so we can get our shorthand all in order. Let me bring the thing up for that. No, not that, not that, not that, not that. Where did I hide it? There it is.
See, you left my chat for 5 minutes. We went ahead and built a... This is, by the way, one of the things we're going to have to think about, Chad. We have to think about personal armaments and how to showly express violence when not doing Zork things to other nations.
Right.
I mean, but that's for later.
Alright, which window do I have things going with? Cool. Alrighty, let's work down our list. So, does she regularly make new friends? No. Complex and novel ideas excite her more than simple and straightforward ones? No. She feels more persuaded by what resonates emotionally than by factual arguments. I don't know, she could go either way on this. She could be very emotionally driven, or she could be, you know, very unemotional.
It's a strong it depends.
Let's put her in the middle then, because it depends on the situation. Are her living and working spaces clean and organised? I feel like no.
No.
Does she stay calm even under a lot of pressure? That could go
Also,
either way.
Yeah, it's like, depends on what you consider calm.
So I'm literally looking at it as, okay, you've got this pressureful task that needs to happen. Do you panic and you don't know how to be orderly and deal with it and you just react on instinct? Or, okay, I've got this really difficult thing to deal with. I'm going to take the time to sort it out. I'm not going to let, you know, the panic and the pressure override me. I will come up with a solution and then enact the solution. Whether that be in combat or you know, academics or whatever. I have a feeling she probably stays calm under pressure. That doesn't mean she's nice under pressure, but I don't think pressure bothers her that much. I think she just gets angry at it.
You don't get to be the pirate queen if you balk under pressure. Sorry, you don't get that.
Yeah, so I think she stays very calm under pressure. She's just not nice.
Yeah.
Okay, does she find the idea of networking or promoting herself to strangers daunting? I don't think so. I think she's quite happy to talk about her achievements, boastfully even, because, you know, screw you. I might have been born, you know, half shallow, half deep water, but look at all the things I've done. I'm cool and I can do all of this stuff, and this is why you should employ me. Alright, does she prioritise and plan tasks effectively, completing them before deadlines?
Thank you.
Doctor Who thinks yes.
Effectively, yes.
She is meticulous, okay. People's stories and emotions speak louder to you than numbers or data.
It depends who you are.
Okay, we could put her right down the middle where it's a it depends.
I can explain if it's needed. Ah,
Why not? Go for it. Why do you think so?
I think she'll give you the time of day the moment you're not a problem.
Hmm.
She'll give you the time of day. She'll listen. Again, she's past the brush, stupid youth. She doesn't feel like she has to prove herself to you, so she can listen. She has the time. What she won't do is fucking tolerate you babbling or asking her to baby you. Nope. So it's a very. It depends. You, you get her, you got her, you got her time, you got her attention. Grab. You've got a crab for life.
Doctor Who says she'll give you 5 minutes, earn more. Yeah, I like
I
that.
love it. That is perfect.
And I feel like she's the kind of person who's like, yeah, if you're my crew, if you're somebody who's close to me, then doing things that are beneficial to your thoughts and feelings is absolutely at the top of my list. But if you're not, and it just so happens that your ship has a lot of money on board and I want that, the money numbers mean more to me than the fact that this is going to upset you.
The amount of correct has achieved 1 million.
All right. Does she like to use schedules and lists? No, I don't think she schedules and lists anything out. She just knows what needs to be done inside her head, and she just does it. She doesn't need to write it down. She doesn't need to follow a list. I don't think she needs schedules and lists. Even a small mistake can make her doubt her overall abilities and knowledge. No. I think there's a little bit of room for doubt inside herself, but it doesn't stop her. I feel like she spites her insecurities rather than indulges them.
Fuck you, insecurity. Go home. Bitch to someone else.
Does she feel comfortable walking up to someone she thinks is interesting and starting a conversation?
You better be able to talk back, otherwise she'll punch you.
Yeah, I think if there's someone she wants to talk to, she just walks up to them and starts talking to them. She's that kind of character.
Mm-hmm.
Is she interested in discussion of interpretation of creative works? Nope. I don't feel like she's the kind of person who wants to stand in front of a painting and debate about what the painter meant by this.
Is it worth money?
Yes, that's the only conversation she wants to have. How much will this fetch on the black market? On the last one, Polychromatic Goth Drop says she'll either start a conversation or a confrontation. Yes.
I don't think she has much of a difference between the two in her brain.
Doctor Who thinks she should have one treasure she never sold. Yes, I like that idea, and that she has perhaps close emotional attachments to it, but I don't think it's the sort of thing that she'd just want to stand around and debate with other people. That would be something she's quite sort of close-chested about, I imagine. So yeah, she's not interested in discussing what did the author mean by this. Does she prioritise facts over feelings when determining a course of action?
Again, it's a maybe. She trusts her gut.
I feel like she probably leans towards facts just a little bit more than feelings when it comes to determining a course of action. But you're right, I don't think that precludes her from knowing the occasions when feelings are more important than facts.
Yeah, it's not a complete one way or the other.
Yeah. Does she allow the day to unfold without any schedule at all?
The benefit of agelessness. Yes. This is the one point I'm saying being expecting to live to 1,000 or even 200 means that yes, she can allow that.
To me, she comes across as the kind of person who, when she gets up of a day, makes the decision of what she's going to do that day. She doesn't need a schedule per se to say, well, on Monday I'll do this, on Tuesday I'll do that, on Wednesday I'll do that. I feel like she wakes up in the morning, she's like, okay, today I'm going to do X. And she might make that decision in the moment, but I don't think she has days where she's like, well, I'm not really sure what I'm going to do today, so I'm just going to drift along and see what finds me. I feel like she wakes up and is like, I'm going to do X, but it's not pre-planned. Does that make sense?
Yes. It comes across as, yeah, no, I'm okay with it. I'm perfectly fine with it.
Yeah. She rarely worries about whether she makes a good impression on the people she meets. Yeah, I don't think she cares what people's impression is. She does not care what people think of her. She's one of those characters like, this is who I am, you take it or leave it.
And you better take it, otherwise I'm punching you.
The only schedule she needs is the shift schedule, so she knows who's on the bridge right now. Yeah, at least when she was in charge of the fleet, yes. Alright, does she enjoy participating in team-based activities?
Are they hot?
I feel like she probably doesn't, because when she was captain of a fleet, it's better if the captain doesn't get involved, so that the juniors can have their fun without feeling like they're being judged the whole time. And now that she's lost the fleet and she's with all of these people and she's doing mercenary work, I feel like she's going to be kind of, she trusts herself and only herself, and she's happy to be by herself. Yeah, pirate raids are a team activity, and I imagine she took great enjoyment in those, but she doesn't currently have the ability to. So I feel like the character we're going to be writing in the book, it's going to be a no. I think she just depends on herself. Does she like experimenting with new and untested approaches?
If it's a gun, then yes.
I feel like, yeah, she's all about that. She's all about finding new ways to cause chaos and get the things she wants in life. What does chat think? Maybe? We yo-ho ourselves. Yeah, you did all land on the exact same thought of, well, is raiding a team-based activity?
By the way, I think you're Penumbra from our game.
We
20 years of experience.
Only if she's really into wrestling.
She is a 3 doors fridge with claws. What do you think? She's an industrial packed fridge. Of course she's into wrestling.
Then yes, she is basically my Penumbra from the game will be running. Yes. All right. Does she actively seek out new experiences and knowledge to explore?
I mean, again, if it's a gun, then yes. Guns are very important.
This one will be interesting for us to think through. Is she prone to worrying that things will take a turn for the worse? Considering that she's had the recent betrayal and that she's never fully trusted people because she's never necessarily always felt like she fit in, I think she does worry a lot that things will take a turn for the worse, but I don't think she wears that worry on her sleeve. I think it's very internalized. She plans for the worst, but she doesn't discuss it with people. Yeah, exactly. She doesn't worry it will turn worse. She knows it will, so she just plans for it. Yeah, Doctor Who's in the same thing I am. So yes, she does worry that things will take a turn for the worst. Does she enjoy solitary hobbies or activities more than group ones? We've basically already answered that, yes. She trusts herself and only herself. Does she favour efficiency in decisions, even if it means disregarding emotional aspects?
Sometimes.
I feel like she'll be middle of the road with that one.
Yeah.
All right, this one will be interesting. In disagreements, does she prioritize proving her point over preserving the feelings of others?
Having a hard time deciding what that means.
So this would be one where, she's in an argument with somebody. She knows she's in the right, but that if she keeps going with the argument to make them understand that she's in the right, it's going to really upset them and they're going to storm off and not talk to her for a week. What does she do? Does she continue the argument because she knows she's right, or does she let it go because, preserving the other person's feelings are more important?
Is the person why is his feelings worth a week?
That is going to be a big thing. Are the person's feelings worthy of being preserved? Is it someone she cares about or not? I think she prioritizes proving her point over feelings more often than not. But if you're one of her nearest and dearest, that might affect it in those specific moments. But in general, she's like, no, look, I'm right. I don't care if it makes you feel bad that I'm right. I'm still right, and you being upset isn't going to change anything. Hurt feelings? What are you, a soft shell? This is about profit. Yeah, you have to earn her care. Yeah, so I you can do the thing. There we go. OBS has decided it will now reconnect. Whatever malevolent spirit is hanging around my internet connection really needs to leave.
We need to punch.
I need to go beat up Comstar, yes. Whilst it was down this time, Night Owl, I was talking about using some Squicknology. After the meetup, we're going to steal Squick over to the house and change some of our wiring, which will hopefully help. But I have not had this problem all week. I have had 0 drops all week. The one day I want to stream and talk to you guys, the internet's like, nope, just going to keep dropping out. Malevolent spirit, you mean Malort? Yes. Yes, the spectre of Malort is hanging around my internet, and it really needs to go away. Items going, God, please no, from the other room. Yeah, it's not your Wi-Fi, Tired German. It's my internet today, and I do not know why. I do not know why. Squick does have many wires to use for normal human purposes, and we're not at all planning on setting up complicated server rack and wiring all through the attic of our house when Squick gets the time to come over and help us do it. We're not embarking on ridiculous projects just because we can, honest.
I can hear the honesty all the way from here.
Yes. But can Squick remove Apocalypse Jim from your walls? He doesn't need to. I'm fine with Apocalypse Jim being there. I've been working on trying to make some more files for Parallax to work with. I don't mind Apocalypse Jim. He's fine. A Wallcalypse Jim? Yes, with Jim Slims. And, just having Jim around is no problem. It keeps the other problems at bay. All right. What were we doing? Where were we? Does her mood change very quickly? That was our next one. Does she have mood swings?
I think it looks like mood swings to the outside. I don't think they're actual mood swings, but I think it looks like mood swings from the outside.
Doctor Who says yes, like a stormy sea. So yeah, I think her mood changes based on her own internal logic, like you're saying, but it can change very quickly because of that logic.
Yep. Absolutely.
Is she swayed by emotional arguments? So if somebody's come to her with we shouldn't do this because think of the children or whatever, does she actually take the time to sit and listen to that and weigh it up or not?
Things she considers valuable. Children there.
Not often but possible. All right, so I'm going to put her then as she's not easily swayed by emotional arguments, as a soft agree, but very close to the middle.
Yeah. Again, what she considers valuable is not what you consider valuable.
Yeah.
That's the important part.
Does she become bored or lose interest when discussions get highly theoretical? I feel like she probably does. I think she's quite a practical crab. Like, yeah, in theory that's fine, but that's not what we're dealing with. Can we get back to the point at hand? How are we going to break into the ship and steal all of the loot?
Are we talking about guns?
Yeah.
If yes, then you have my attention. Oh, we're not talking about guns. I'll be over there breaking someone's neck.
Does
Maybe
she?
then we can talk about, maybe then we can talk about guns.
Does she? How often does she second guess the choices that she's made? Does she second guess herself a lot or hardly at all?
When proof presents that she needs to, and not a second earlier.
I think for the most part, once she's decided on a course of action, she commits to it full force. But I do think that for some things that don't work out, she perhaps quietly reflects on them to herself, late at night when she's by herself. But I don't think she, ever looks at it as, oh, well, I shouldn't have made that choice. She just looks at it as, that choice didn't work out well, that's worth remembering for next time. So I don't think she does second guess herself much. I think she applies herself full force. Yeah, what's done is done. Yeah. Yeah, but privately there are some things that she ruminates on. Okay, cool. Do her friends describe her as lively and outgoing? I feel like no.
These friends go out pirating with her?
Again, looking at the character as she is now, having lost her pirate crew, she's operating as a mercenary. I don't think there's many friends to describe her as lively and outgoing, but I think she's going to be in a rather sort of dour portion of her life at the minute. So I just don't think lively and outgoing would be ways people would describe her right now.
Correct.
Get a drink or two in her, then yes. Lively in a fight, yes. All right, then what I'll do is I'll put it as, a soft disagree. Under the right circumstances with the right people, she could absolutely be lively and outgoing. She's reminding me of an archetype from I'm going to pause for a minute because I feel the need to go off on one of my rambles again. She's reminding me of a character from a webcomic that I absolutely adored when I was younger. I don't know if anybody in chat will remember Oracle for Hire by Mookie, if anybody ever read that. That comic was fantastic, and there's an orc character in it named Melna, and she's giving me strong Melna vibes right now. And that's not a bad thing, because Melna was a great character. Was it Melna or was it Melina? I think it was Melna. But if anybody here has not read Oracle for Hire, I strongly recommend it. And its follow-up series that came out that I didn't know about until like 5 years after that had been concluded as well. And then I binge read all of that, and it was excellent. The main character in the sort of carry-on was a mongrel folk, so a sort of mixed breed magical creature, who was deaf and mute. And writing a comic book character who's deaf and mute must have been an insane challenge, and the way Mookie handled it was absolutely brilliant. And yeah, I can't recommend Oracle for Hire and its subsequent stories enough. It's a masterclass in good storytelling. And for those of you in chat who really like puns, you'll adore it. It's full of them. And if anybody wants a link to it, DM me. I will drop you a link. Very, very, very good. All right, back to actually creating our Melna.
Yes, you know what to do.
That's the same question we've answered before. We've answered that one before as well. We've answered that one before. Does she avoid making phone calls? Or the Sholey equivalent? I feel like yes. I feel like she has no time for that nonsense.
Doubly so for social calls.
She'll talk to you if and when she needs. Sholey telemarketers. Yeah, Sholey telemarketers are going to be a whole other breed. Because they can use psionic influence. You know, if they catch you in the mall, it's like going to be one of those perfume vendors where just the smell pervades, but it's psionic. You're just like, oh my god, there are telemarketers here. I can feel them from here. Ah!
It just snap necks intensifies. The next time Melanical tries to sell a shell burnish, I will personally tear the head from them.
Alright, we're nearly there. If her plans are interrupted, is her top priority to get back on track as soon as possible? Or does she go with the flow with whatever, you know, the interruption causes? Doctor Who feels like she will want to get back on track as soon as possible. Yeah, I'm kind of leaning that way as well myself. I think if there's, you know, her plan will be a good one and probably to be followed, and it will only be if it's something particularly strange that requires an adjustment in the plan that she wouldn't be like, no, we are here to rob these people.
What needs to happen?
Alright, here's one that I'm curious about. Is she still bothered by mistakes she made a long time ago? And specifically here, I'm thinking, how bothered is she by the decisions that led up to the mutiny? I feel like even if she, you know, doesn't necessarily feel like she would have changed anything, I think when things go awry, it probably does bother her. Oh, that is a handsome cat. That is an orange cat. Does he have the brain cell today, or are other orange cats using it? That's the Piccolo in her residence. Okay, so yes, we do think she is bothered by mistakes she made. Alright. Do her emotions control her more than she controls them? Is she more emotionally controlled or factually controlled? She tries not to let them, but I think she does act on emotion quite a bit. They're not necessarily, you know, good emotions, but I feel like they do, even if she doesn't realise it. I do think they drive her. I think her ability to hold a grudge is significant. Her trauma of the mutiny aboard the Orca Din. Doctor Who. Oh, no, that wasn't Doctor Who. That was Samurai. I should have known that was Samurai. Of course it was Samurai. She has a persona and a wall she's built. Yeah, I feel like this character's somebody whose nature and demeanour are quite different to each other. Her demeanour says that she's always confident all the time, but her nature is that I think she's quite angry at the world. And at times, some of that anger is turned on herself, even if she doesn't realise it.
There.
All right. No, we've already answered that one and we decided middle of the road. Is her personal work style closer to spontaneous bursts of energy or organised and consistent effort? I feel like she's probably quite organised. Leading an entire fleet, I think she's quite organised. She has a goal, she knows how to get there. The way that she does it might not necessarily appeal to everybody, but I feel like she's quite organised and consistent in what she does. Okay, definitely interested to see what you guys think for this one. When someone thinks highly of her, she wonders how long it will take for them to feel disappointed in her instead. So when she has somebody's esteem, she thinks that she's going to lose it and let them down. Do we think that's how she feels, or does she just take things at surface value? Yeah, okay. Right now you think highly of me and carry on. And the character we're writing is after the mutiny, so... Yes. Okay, you guys are thinking yes. Alright. Would she love a job that requires her to work alone most of the time? I don't think she would. I think with the way we've been writing her is that she really wants to have a fleet back under her command and to be part of a crew again. What do you think, Lictor? Did we lose Lictor or did we lose me?
No.
Are you there?
No.
Good.
I'm genuinely thinking. Also, I'm trying to give the chat a moment because
That's fair.
I need to go on a few tirades. I think the entire point of this situation, this time and place that she's going out from thinking she needs large, big, complicated, in-depth, and actually thinks that maybe downsizing is the time. She needs better elites, less a whole fleet.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's good, but I don't think she wants to be alone. I think she feels the necessity to be at the minute, but you're right. What she wants is to be with others, but they need to be the right others, especially in the wake of the mutiny. But getting there is going to be difficult for her because she's got the trust issues now.
For good reason.
Yeah, Polychromatic Gothdrop says she craves company, but is now more selective now than before, which seems to echo what you're saying, Lictor. Quality of quantity, scared of getting hurt again. She only focuses on her mistakes when she's alone and wants a crew as a distraction to those worries. Yeah, I think that will be part of it, but it's going to be just, complex at this point because she doesn't want to be alone. She wants the right people around her. She knows that they're a distraction to those worries, but at the same time, those worries are also informing her to make better friends in the future. So it's all layered on top of each other, which makes her a real person.
God, what have we done? Quick. I didn't mean to say something that stupid. That sounds cool. Like it.
Does she feel more drawn to busy, bustling atmospheres, or does she prefer quiet, intimate places? I think she likes noise around her. Even if she's not taking part in it, she likes there to be background noise.
Again, she's an old soul. She listens to heavy metal. We know that about Shogun characters.
Yeah. If a decision feels right to her, she often acts on it without needing further proof.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's very strong for her.
Get on a plan, get in the game, or get on meet away.
All right, let's see what the results are. We've answered. Oh no, it told me that we were going to be done, but no, we've got one more page of questions. Does she often feel overwhelmed?
No.
Yeah, no, I don't think she does.
She often feels like punching people.
Yes. If she's feeling overwhelmed, it just means there's something in her way that needs punching.
I'm overwhelmed. I need to punch. You, and especially you. Why is your face so punchable? Can you stop that?
Does she struggle with deadlines? I feel like she does because she just doesn't care about them. She's like, no, look, we're trying to do this. It'll be done when it's done. If you want me to turn up to port on this date, I'll get to that as close as possible, but I'm not too worried about it. I'll be there when I'm there.
Okay. That's legitimate.
So she doesn't struggle with them because, oh God, I just can't get the work done in time. She just doesn't care for other people's time for doing things.
She doesn't have an executive dysfunction. She has a dysfunction for caring.
Overwhelmed. Get out, Verith Ragnar. Alright. Does she feel confident that things will work out for her?
No.
Do you think she's a bit of a pessimist?
No, that's the problem. That's the thing she needs to get over.
That's going to be her character arc. Okay. Let's. We should now actually get the results. She is a logistician, which I think suits her well. She is the backbone of society, embodying reliability, practicality, and unwavering dedication, with a meticulous nature, strong sense of duty, making her an indispensable force in both personal and professional spheres. Approaches life with a clear set of principles, valuing tradition, structure, and well-defined expectations. Strength lies in the ability to create order from chaos, organising information and resources to achieve tangible results. Good at maintaining systems, following through on commitments, and becoming the person others turn to when they need something done right. However, she has a preference for established methods, which can make her resistant to change, even when adaptation might be beneficial. Maybe that's what led to the mutiny. Logical and fact-oriented mindset serves you well in analytical tasks, but can sometimes overshadow the emotional aspect of situations. May find herself struggling to understand or express feelings, both her own and others, which can lead to misunderstandings, particularly in personal relationships. Yep, this all seems very on brand. Despite these challenges, integrity and dependability make you an invaluable friend, partner, and colleague for those who have earned it. Commitment to your responsibilities and ability to provide stability in turbulent times are rare and precious qualities. Yeah, I think this sounds fine for her. This will give us some shorthand and things to work towards.
The one caveat I will say that the logistics she likes to arrange are the acceleration of ardent masses towards soft things.
Yeah, she's very good at organising bullets on target, correct?
Exactly. Thank you for translating me from...
I was picking up what you were putting down.
Thank you.
Alright,
Okay.
We've got some last few bits we can go through here. We'll see if we can push through them. And then I think next week what we should do is detail our other Titan pilot, our Tide Warden, as our final character that needs definitive character notes before we start moving into what does actual writing look like? How do we flesh out our general idea of a plot and into something we can start writing on? And we maybe look at the wonderful world of opening lines next week. So we'll finish this character up and then we will start next week with all of that, I think. That's what I'm feeling at the minute. I mean, she was the backbone of the fleet she was part of up until the mutiny. So, and it doesn't have to be polite society. It was brigand society. Do we have a name? Not yet. So if you guys want to think about a name while we're going through this next section, we will give her a name. All right, distinctive skills and abilities. We know she is an expert weapon, expert marksman slash swords crab. She's very good with weaponry. She is combat proficient. She is tactical. And
She appreciates. She plays pit fights and wrestling. Owns a collection of temp squirrel.
we should also have her be analytical to threats and local environment hazards. Because that's basically what she's here for, is to be a bodyguard and the combat proficient character in the party. That's what she's there for. She's their gun bunny. Shelley. How do Stratenoid's naming scheme go? Well, we haven't settled on a specific one, and we don't have to either, because depending on the cultures people come from, that could change how they name each other. So if there's a particular name you have a affinity towards, go for it. The only thing that I would say, as I've said in previous streams, is it would behoove us not to give her a name that's too exotic or over hyphenated, because it makes it hard for the reader to remember who's who when it doesn't nestle comfortably inside the reader's brain. Bully Snake says she's the door kicker. Correct, yes. Jabra Silver. That's an interesting name. I know it's a play on John Silver, but still.
I like Jabra.
She needs a nom de guerre. I mean, we can give her as many nicknames as we want if she's, got a piratical name that she was known by. So yeah, Huragok. I'm not sure what Huragok style is, but if you've got some that you think would work, throw them up. No Krabby McCrabface. Well, the problem with Krabby McCrabface is it's too good. It's very easy to remember for the audience. It's just also not very sensible. Hello, TK. Oh, engineers from Halo. I never gelled with the Halo series. Me and the Halo series have a hate-hate relationship, because from the moment I first touched it, I was like, this spaceship doesn't make sense, and I was never able to get the hang of Halo after that. Like, the Pillar of Autumn doesn't make sense. It's not a spaceship, it's a video game level.
Yes. Oh.
Someone suggested Iron Shell as a nickname. Okay. Okay, so introspective is suggesting things like lighter than some, heavier than most, floats alone. So that's also kind of, I was in the middle of a ship rant and then I just stopped because I knew I'd be here and would get nothing else finished today. If we went with the lighter than some, heavier than most, those sorts of names, that's kind of Argonian. The problem with that is the same problem I have with Argonians, is if you get more than one of them named that, it's so hard to tell who's who. Because they're phrases, and it's hard to attach that to a known character. I'm currently sitting here trying to remember the name of the Argonian in... oh god, the name's gone out of my head now, of the town. It's the town where the Thieves' Quest is. But there's an Argonian there who's addicted to skooma, who's walking around the docks, and you can do a quest for her. And I run into her nearly every... Riften, that's the town. I run into her nearly every playthrough, and right now I cannot think of her name for the life of me. And that's the problem I'm concerned about with names like that, especially if you're going to end up with more than one character like that long term. If it's the only one you have, then it sounds like a red brain problem. Yes, yeah, but I'm not the only person in the world who has a brain that operates. Oh, actually, I can't say that. I do have weird brain. Most people's brains don't work the way mine does.
I mean, I translate her showy name to Irons.
Mm-hmm.
In all the myriad ways you can translate it, from shackles to an iron something, to an iron grip, to an iron shell, just irons. And that's the nickname, that's the vibe she'll be giving as a face name?
Doctor Who has just dropped the name of the character I was thinking of. It's Wujita. So it's not even one of the Argonians who has that naming convention, and I still couldn't remember. So maybe this is just a red brain problem. Okay, we'll do a vote on it at the end. Could you grab the names that have been suggested, Lictor, and DM them to me, and any others that come up as we finish, and then we'll do a poll at the end to give her name before we close today.
One moment. On
You can
it.
start pulling those out. I'd very much appreciate it. And if you think of any others, chat, drop them in there, and we'll have a big old vote. All right, what is our Ceratinoid's greatest fear? She's already lost her fleet. What is her greatest fear going to be from this point?
I'll be forgotten.
I don't think her greatest fear would be losing her new crew. I think her greatest fear would be not being able to form a new crew. Because that plays into that self-confidence issue that she's desperately hiding. Yeah, lonely death, betrayal. I think she would be really, really terrified that, you know, she's had this massive setback in life and that she won't be able to reform what she's lost. Which would lead to dying alone and forgotten, tired German. So yeah, I think those things tie together. Okay, so after losing her original fleet, she is... Okay, are we back? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank God. No problems. And then today, it's just, screw you, Lady Red. You may not do anything fun with chat. How dare you? Fun is not for you. You will have the worst stream ever. Yes, Internet Hamster did in fact run out of feed again for no good reason. Alright, let's try and get this finished up before the internet decides to just run out the door again. Okay, so greatest fear. After losing her original fleet, she is now scared she will not be able to form a new crew, and even if she does, that she might not be able to hold on to it and regain her former position. She is afraid of dying alone and forgotten. Alright, next part is one of our really important ones. What is her misbelief about the world? I know there's a few people here who haven't gone through this process with me in the past. Misbelief is one of the most important things to characters having character arcs. It's something we all experience in our own life. Our experiences and the things we go through give us a perception of this is how the world works, this is what's important and this what isn't, up until, you know, we either mature further or encounter something that challenges that belief and we then form a new one. That's a perfectly normal thing to do. Some people believe that, you know, the only things that the thing that's really important in the world is your achievements, whether they're academic or physical, and you know, if you don't have those then you're not worth something. Or you maybe think that everybody's out to get you, because, you know, a lot of negative things have happened while you're growing up, so you can't trust anybody. People aren't trustworthy. Your misbelief about the world might be that everything you've ever been taught through school was propaganda, that nothing works that way. And it's not until you encounter something that challenges that you mature and grow and move forward. We know for our character that for her, she's been massively impacted by this mutiny. So I think that's going to be a very large impact her on what her current misbelief about the world is. And I think her misbelief about the world is that you can't trust anybody but yourself. Yeah, relationships are predicated on mutual gain, and that you will be pushed aside once you're not necessary anymore, and that because she didn't overcome that, she's a bad leader. Yeah, we can work that in as well. Okay. Yeah, I think for her it's fairly obvious. Her misbelief about the world is that everyone is only out for themselves. You will be betrayed once you are no longer useful. And she believes she was a bad leader for not knowing this sooner and countering it. What happened in the character's past to make them believe this lie? The mutiny on her ship that lost her control of her fleet to her own kids. Yeah, the fact that it was her own kids, I mean, she's just not going to trust anyone. You can't trust anyone, including your own kids. What do they most often criticize others for? What is she very critical of in other people? Helps if I bring up the right window.
I'm giving Chad a moment to be.
Absolutely.
Giving a Chad a moment because
Everyone is out for number one, and no one acts without self-benefit. Yep. She criticizes others for not being direct. Yeah, I think she'll probably find people not being forthright to be really aggravating. She doesn't like flowery language and dancing around a topic. She'd prefer people were just blunt and honest with her.
absolutely.
She hates verbose rhetoric. How do they respond to emotional pain? I think she isolates and martial practice. I think she goes and punches things.
Yep.
You
She
talk like a
takes
squid.
You talk like a squid. Yeah. Grow a shell.
Yeah, I think she isolates because she won't think about it till she's on her own, and she'll just go into martial practice and punch things. She'll turn the emotional pain into a physical response. Or into physical distraction. I don't think she'd just walk up to someone and just punch them because she's upset, but she would absolutely go and find a punching bag and yell at anyone who tries to interrupt her.
She will absolutely start a conversation by burying a hatchet in something that will not automatically kill the guy she is severely damaged.
Alright, the next thing we need is the top 3 things she values most in life.
Booty.
Profit, weapons, new crew / place to belong. Yeah, I think that pretty much sums up what her top 3 things are going to be. Yep, as a
Finely made body pillows.
profit, dependable weaponry, and then the one that she doesn't discuss out loud but is absolutely inherent to her being is trusted companions and a place to belong. And it's that last one she's currently missing, which is upsetting her. Is there an object she can't bear to part with, and why? Now, you mentioned earlier the idea of her having a treasure that she never sold and that she kept. What do we want that treasure to be? Because I think that should be the thing. Maybe it was one of the first things she ever stole, or she stole it from someone who was important to her. Yeah, let's detail the bauble. What is her special bauble she has? I'm thinking it maybe needs to be... I don't think it's going to be something from her first breeding mate. Because her being Ceratinoid in the way they are about things, and her being a pirate, I imagine she's, you know, enjoyed her adult times with multiple people and enjoyed her time with them, but I don't think that's going to be as important to her as perhaps the first ship that she successfully raided as captain of the fleet. And that perhaps whichever ship that was, it was meaningful to her. Somebody on board that ship, or who was in control of it, or something about it, should have been important to her, so she kept something from that first successful haul. Wilf, I think that would be a little bit too Deus Ex Machina to do that. Now, that said, it being something that gets talked about that helps lead somebody to thinking about a solution, I would be fine with. But the item itself shouldn't be necessary to solve the problem. But it can certainly lead to thoughts thinking that way, because you are bringing up a valid point there. Is things in books, anything you introduce in a novel, in a narrative, should mean something. It should be there for a reason. Books are a constructive narrative. There's a moment in Handbook for Mortals, which is a terrible book, where the main character goes back to get her phone because she forgot it, purely because, well, people forget their phones all the time. She doesn't go back to get it because it allows a plot moment to happen, or because it's important, or because, you know, by doing so she leaves a door unlocked that leads to a character finding out something they should. She literally just goes back to get it because in real life people forget things. You can't do that in a book. It's just a waste of space. It's a distraction, and you're not behaving the way that your reader expects you to behave. You're asking them to pay attention to something that doesn't matter. And if you do it too often, they will completely switch off. If you do it at all, it can stand out as like, well, why was this here? What was that all about? Things in books mean things. They're there for a reason. So if we bring up the bauble, it being there to, you know, allow for a chain of discussion that leads to a solution would be absolutely brilliant. But I wouldn't want to have it there as a, oh, I happen to have this thing from, you know, a couple of decades ago, and if we plug it into here, which no one expected, that solves our problem. That's when you've hit Deus Ex Machina. Because it doesn't make sense that she would have something that just does that. It would be, you know, we've written ourselves into a hole and we're just going to write ourselves out of it again very lazily. So that's where my thought level is with that. Underwater, I assume bronze would be more common than brass. Okay, so maybe a bronze something. Old growth coral piece.
I think that the brass and bone fixture of the first Titan she cored out herself.
That could work.
And this is a kind of a symbol she keeps to who she is and what she can do when she puts her mind to things. Because this is something.
Yeah, that's very personal, and that's the sort of thing where, you know, she sort of rubs it like a good luck charm, gives her the impetus to re-find her confidence. I can come back from this. Yeah.
It's like I can do that sort of stuff. I'm bigger than whatever problem I have right the fuck now.
Do we want to deepen it to perhaps that Titan was piloted by somebody who bullied her when she was young? Which was why she went after it in the first place?
That's the reason, yes.
Okay. That gives us some real depth to play with there. A brass and bone fixture from the inside of a Titan cockpit. It is... she keeps it because it is a reminder of the first Titan she called out as a captain of the fleet. And the Titan in question was a Tide Warden mech piloted by another Ceratinoid from her clutching class, so her age group, who bullied her extensively as a young crab. And if by making it a Tide Warden mech, that allows us to potentially have some other interactions when we detail our Tide Warden pilot. It would allow for them to have a conversation at some point where maybe he recognizes it, and then she's very boastful about the fact that she took out a Tide Warden. That can deepen some of the friction between them. And of course, when it later comes out as to, you know, why she had the friction with that Tide Warden, it wasn't because he was a Tide Warden and she was a pirate. It was because of personal issues. There's some revelatory stuff we can do there if it becomes relevant as we go through the story.
One part about it is that we're talking about Titans, which is one of the things we want to point out. And we can tell people that you keep the temps oral inside that sort of fixture.
Yes.
I'm sorry for being a stickler.
No,
This is one of the
it's
things I want to keep my mind on.
Absolutely fine and very relevant. All right, what is her method of manipulation? For anybody who's not been here for when we've done one of these before, there are several methods of manipulation that people use in life that we're going to draw from. Everybody has one. It's a natural part of being a sapient being and part of a social society. There are times where we will do things in certain ways to get what we want. Doesn't always have to be, you know, for negative reasons. It's not always that we're trying to be evil and conniving. It's just a natural part of being part of a sapient society. But of course it can be used for less than noble causes as well. Some people will try to get people to do what they want by guilt tripping, love bombing, all these different ways that you can kind of coax people to do what you want or need them to do in the moment. What do we think hers would be? Claw to the face. Twitch has literally not been letting me type for the last 20 minutes. Oh no, I'm so sorry. What about a memento for the defeat of her first nemesis, a part of the mech captained by Wave Unit, trinket or a bauble paid for in blood? Well, we are thinking of it being a memento from her going after something like that. So hopefully what we've decided is in keeping with what you're thinking, Erica. Specific threats of physical violence, possibly bluffing. Okay. She acts with such confidence you end up swept up in her flow. She strong arms people. Yeah, I think she's quite sort of a pressure seller, and the fact that she's willing to back it up. She's quite brash. She's quite forceful, and she's sort of aggressive. What are the words I want? Aggressive peer pressure. This can include threats of violence, etc. Brackets, sometimes a bluff. But she has a forceful charisma. She will put to blunt use and make no bones about consequences if you don't. Cool. All right, we gave her some weaponry already. We haven't done this for everybody. Oh, no, yeah, we have done this for a few. Okay, let's keep going. What is the best thing in the character's life right now? Not what is the best thing in the past. What is the best thing in her life right now? Striker in 20 minutes. Yes, we will be out well before Striker this week. That shouldn't be an issue at all.
The fact that she has a way forward laid out for her. That is fucking amazing.
New job to distract her. Yep. Could you not? Anka is not making life easy. She's being adorable right on the middle of my lap. The best thing in her life, the pile bunker. It's awesome. She finally has a job that should prove as dangerous and as thrilling as her old life. Okay. Alright, so best thing in the character's life right now. Her current job. It is both exciting in the same ways as the life she just lost, but will also provide her strong stepping stones towards her goals and getting back to what she really wants.
Good God, I just had a brain idea of her yelling at Umi for daring to try and sacrifice himself just because she won't go back to being alone all over again. And no, you don't get to die.
Oh, Anka, don't do the paws over your snoot thing. That's too cute. That is weaponized cutonium. Too cute.
You are.
All right. How is character dissatisfied with their life? That's an easy one. We know the answer to that. She is completely put out by losing her former fleet and position, and having done so through betrayal from her own kith and kin.
That's freaking rough.
What does your character believe will bring them true happiness or contentment? Building her own fleet with
Until
with blackjack and hookers.
hello, Jay. Welcome. You're at the tail end of what we like to call our writers segment. We are more of a variety channel. I will let Lady Rand do the spiel, but we're at the tail end of talking about a strange, brave new world with mecha mermaids and other stuff that may or may not confuse the new onlooker, but
Yes.
are indeed very, very cool.
We started out at the beginning of the year with a wouldn't it be cool if we had an ocean world with underwater mecha on it, and we're now at the point where we know how many planets are in the solar system, that our 5 sapient species have just started exploring space. Humanity has found them. We've got psionic coral that allows for different things to happen. We've got giant leviathans. The moon is orbiting a gas giant, which is orbiting the star. There are multiple other moons. This affects the tides. We know we've got a ton of radiation. We know all the different phenotypes that our different species have. We've got whale people that have a symbiotic species that does all of their hands-on manipulation for them because they're whale people and too big to do it themselves. We've had time. I too am in the process of making a history reference for a story I plan to write. That's excellent. I wish you much luck with your research, and I hope everything goes well. Is there a particular historical period that you're interested in? I do go through my process, yes. We've been going into a lot of depth. We're currently detailing out some of our main characters for our first major story we're planning on writing in the setting. We're going to be writing a pulp action-adventure story with our mecha involved, and we're currently detailing our mercenary pirate crab person, which is very fun. Yes, Moon's haunted. Watch out for the droptopuses in the mushroom forest. They exist. Those are literally a thing we came up with. It's been a fun year. All right, where were we? So, what she believes will bring her true happiness and contentment will be building her own fleet to take revenge on her former fleet. Definitive steps she could take to turn their dream into reality is make new allies and form new social bridges to establish a more cohesive and dependable crew to work with. How has their fear kept them from taking this action already? She doesn't trust anyone she meets at face value. And honestly, as yet, she doesn't trust anyone even after spending more time with them. Until she faces the trauma of the betrayal and moves past it, she will not allow herself to form new, meaningful alliances. How does your protagonist feel they can accomplish their goal while still steering clear of the thing they are afraid of? They think she thinks if she gets enough money and influence from working the mercenary circuit, she can pay for the best and plan for the inevitable betrayal. This will not, however, bring her the actual bonds she secretly wants and needs to realize she is truly pursuing. Right, there we go. Success! We did it!
And I sent you the poll for name.
Okay, well, we'll have a look at that in just a moment. Yeah, learning to trust again, that's definitely going to be the character arc that she goes through, because she is keeping everyone at claw's length. Yeah, trust and wealth issues. The story I plan to write is called The Sands of Time. That sounds very interesting. Is our crab planning on going legit with a merc crew, or is she building another pirate crew? Would there be a difference? Yes, there would be a difference. Merc crews act more like privateers. Pirates act like pirates. I don't think we need to decide which of those two she wants to be, long-term right now. I don't think it will overly matter, but I think by the end of the book, we'll know which way that she would lean. And if it was purely just her story we were telling, it would be more important. But she might go about it as becoming a merc crew. But I think she'd also be happy to be a pirate as well. I mean, she knows the Cragbound Sea, she knows the pirate route up there, and, making use of that knowledge could be good for her.
Yeah.
I think squaring off against her mutineers will have to become a subplot in the book. I don't know whether that would be worth doing, because if we were going to do that, I'd want to give it the time and attention that it's due. I'd want to really explore that, and that's not the main purpose of the first book we're writing. But what it might be interesting to do is, once we finish the first book, is perhaps our second book focuses purely on her as the main character, and we perhaps look at her as the lead of a new book, where we're doing a really detailed character piece. And that would be something where I could take you guys through the 7-act structure rather than 5-act we're working for this, and we could really dig into her mentality with both, flashbacks to her past, and then see, where she gets to and where we think her story is going, especially if she comes out of this story as interesting as it seems she's going to be. So she might just be a really good option for a sequel. Maybe the sequel will see how poor Jake deals with sub-to-sub combat. If we're assuming Jake goes with her, we'll have to see what his character arc looks like.
Say sequel, I hear fan fiction. It's fine. It's okay. It's good. We're going somewhere. However, Striker will be here in 10 minutes.
Yes, and we do need to clear the airwaves for him. So let's get this poll done, and then we can go from there. All right, poll. Bring it up. Crab person name? Question mark, exclamation mark, and then let me copy paste. Okay, let's copy this one in. Boop. And let's copy. Got to do a lot of back and forth here. This one in.
Yeah.
And I've got 3 more spaces. Which is how many more? Perfect. That was the perfect number you pulled, Lictor. Good job.
Very good.
This one. Okay, no additional votes. You get 1 vote. We've got 2 minutes to run this. Go! Poll is up. Once this poll is complete, we'll write the name down and then we will clear out so that Striker has the airwaves for when he is ready. So if you have any skin in the game, or you'd like to have skin in the game of what we should call our character, please do drop your votes now. 2 minutes to do so. Erica said, if it's an action archaeology like The Mummy or Indie, the mutineers could be dragooned into the service of the negative force. Our negative force in this probably isn't going to be as sapient as, say, you know, Imhotep was, etc. So that would be harder to do. And I just think we have a really rich ground there to really explore our ceratinoids past. I'd really like to go quite deep into that. I think it would be a really rich ground for just a full novel all its own to explore that sort of thing. You are right, though. That's the sort of thing that you could use that for if you were doing something along those levels. Our negative force is more 99 Godzilla. Yes.
we started at how do we break the universe? Went ahead with that. What would a nuclear how would we go about dealing with One Punch Man as the villain?
Yes. We have some cool things in this setting, and just such a rich and vibrant ground to write all sorts of stories. It'll be wonderful. They could be the cliffhanger then? Absolutely, you know, or something that's dropped in the epilogue, some hint of things to come. We'll have a good time with it.
Yeah.
They show up with lots of guns, and then I'll be taking that attitude. Yeah, like that could absolutely. I think that's the sort of thing where, as we flesh the main story out and we know what the tone is, we'll be able to make that decision towards the end of exactly how that comes about. But I'll pop it into the notes section so that we've got that note. All right, we have named our character Jabra Crackshell.
Yep.
Do we want to give her the nickname Ironbreaker?
I mean, I like it, but the chat
considering what we've talked about with her. So, Jabra Crackshell is our character, and I'm suggesting Ironbreaker as one of her nicknames, because being a former pirate, she can have plenty, but if she broke, you know, if she's called out a Titan, etc., and that was one of the first things she did as captain, I think Ironbreaker would be a reasonable nickname for her to have picked up. Second novel could be a great place to talk about dirty politics. Absolutely. Yep. Jabra, Ironbreaker, Crackshell. Or Titanbreaker, perhaps. All right, well, we'll ruminate on it. And, yeah, next week we will come back and we will be looking at our Tide Warden character. We haven't even decided what race they will be yet, so that will be fine and fun. And we'll also be looking at how we flesh out the beats of our stories some more, and possibly talking about opening lines. So that's where we will be next week, and it will be exciting and wonderful and etc. And hopefully my internet won't keep just, you know, running out the window and disappearing into the ether.
That would be nice.
Yes, that will be very nice. All right, I am going to get out of here. I'm going to give you guys over to Striker, who will be up next at the top of the hour. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Please all be good to each other. We will be back here on Sunday night for WBPLW with more wrestling. I will see you guys from the admin booth then. Yeah, enjoy yourselves and be good. Any last words, Lichter?
Be wonderful. Brave Titans. Make friends.
Homework. If you want some homework, first lines. If you've got a favourite first line from a novel, drop it over in the orcs and we'll collect them together and we'll talk about them next week.
Yes, do that.
All right. And with that, we are outie. Yep, I have brought up the end song. I'll let that play for a minute. And I should also mute myself. Bye, chat. Have a good weekend.